Hello, this is an off-the-cuff video. Random internet guys here. There's gonna be a little bit
I'm
of
just
dead
getting
air
my
at the beginning of this while random internet guy gets his
headset.
audio set up. Hi, I'm Tom.
All
This is
right, all right. Let
random
me get my
internet guy.
chair.
We're gonna. This is welcome to the theory corner. Hello. It's late. It's 11:30 at night. And we have been recording for like 5 hours. Um, we are talking about you. Tell them what we're talking about.
Okay, so basically, there's this kind of old theory. It's been around for a while, but the way I know it is through Preston Jacobs. I don't know if he was the progenitor of the theory, or if, like I said, I think it's kind of been around for a while. But the idea is that Darkstar didn't slash Marcella, and you can go on and extrapolate that further to potentially be like, that Marcella wasn't even the one who was there. It was Rosamund who was there, like her body double. But one way or the other, it's dealing with the idea that potentially Darkstar is not guilty of doing this crime. That he's being framed for. Oh, sorry. Being framed for an attack that he's not actually responsible for. And there's, I would say, like a pretty good inkling that she was indeed betrayed by one of her friends. So like the popular theory and kind of, I guess what as our
Random internet guy's been having some connection issues. Give him a second.
ever.
He'll be back.
And so there's some other things too going on there that are described that I don't know exactly how credible the explanations are, but there's some skepticism around, why her face was not only cut to a certain degree if a sword was used, or why she was hit on a certain side, or yada yada yada, or how you would persuade her to tell a story if she, thought she was actually attacked by someone who was not Darkstar. How would they spin this? Like, so there's quite a few ways to push back on this, but it is an interesting theory, and yeah, it's basically that's the kind of gist of it. Is more or less that Darkstar is being framed here. He's not really responsible for this, and he was running because he saw that shit was going wrong, and then in that chaos and confusion, that Ariane doesn't really see all that well. At least that's the argument. She's not seeing it that well. That in all that confusion, that Marcella was slashed by someone else, and it's all a setup.
This is some tinfoil ass shit. And I am
Yes.
absolutely here for it. So I'm reading through
Yeah,
this. I don't know if you're seeing my screen
this
right
is
now,
like
but I'm reading through
free
right
base
now,
quality.
and
No, I'm watching the screen. I'm watching the screen. I
I'm
can second.
sort of sifting through, and okay, like I guess you could make the argument that this is an attempt to cease hostilities. Um, it's I don't know. It's pretty. So it is the case that we as readers do not see through Ariane's eyes, that we don't see Marcella get slashed. She gets slashed behind Ariane, and then she turns to see Marcella on the ground. And I'm not it's a little fishy, but the story we get really it tracks very well, especially because man, this is a hell of a thing to lie about, right? If you're Doran, you need to convince Ariane that this didn't happen.
Well, I
That
say,
you have
why
to.
don't we ask Zach what he thinks. Zach, have you heard of the theory that Darkstar is actually innocent of maiming Marcella in the ear and face with the sword, and it might have been someone else, maybe Dre.
Interesting. So is this person disguised themselves, or is Ariane just mistakenly identifying somebody in the moment?
Zach, you
If you can
sound
somehow
very much.
get your volume up, that'd be
Sorry,
great.
hold up.
But
Let me
also
see. Is this better?
Zach,
Say again?
hold on one second. Zach, keep saying words for me, please.
I'm saying words. This microphone is very quiet.
And I will boost you on Discord.
Yeah, boost them up on Discord. So, yeah,
Hold
basically,
on a
more
second.
or
Zach, please
less.
continue saying words
Let
for me.
me switch microphones for 1 second.
All
Hold
right.
on.
This is all getting into the video. I'm cutting down to this.
I know this is the special. I hope this is Patreon content. This better be what the patrons are paying for. If the patrons aren't paying to hear us have technical difficulties, then then why are they even paying?
Oh.
But really quick to answer Zach's question, yeah, more or less, this theory is about the chaos being a point of confusion. Like it's basically saying that people don't really know what happened, and therefore the story that's being foisted on them is one that Doran has concocted, and it's to get them to do certain things and feel certain ways.
Let's see Let's see if we can find the first moment that that Ariane learns that Marcella has been cut. It's not here. It's not here. It's through this whole chapter. This is the chapter where This is the chapter where she gets cut. Marcella was on the ground. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
You sound
Yeah.
silky
Oh, we can hear you good
smooth.
now. There you go.
Absolutely. Say some more NPR words.
I'm speaking in my Blue Yeti, which is both wonderful and terrible because I can hear myself coming back through, and as far as I'm aware, that's the only way. Actually, hold on. I might be able to switch something up.
Get
One
some
second.
kind of get some kind of
If I can switch the output device. Also, I don't know if you can still hear me. But if I
yeah.
can switch the output,
You sound much
it
better
should be
now.
good.
In the beginning, it was a
Let me
a
see.
little bit
Output
intense.
device.
That night she cried herself to sleep, for the first time, if not the last. Even in her dreams she found no peace. She dreamt of Ares Oakheart caressing her, smiling at her, telling her that he loved her. But while the quarrels were in him and his wounds were weeping, and turning his whites to red, part of her knew it was a nightmare, even as she dreamt of it. Come the morning, all of this will vanish, the princess told herself. But when morning came, she was still in her cell. Sir Ares was still dead, and Marcella... ... I never wanted that. Never. I never meant the girl harm. All I wanted was for her to be a queen, if we had not been betrayed.
So
she has been told this before the start of this chapter. And we do not see the moment that she is told. Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
So is the idea that somebody else was mistaken for Darkstar, or that things were seen incorrectly at like one point in time, or is it that
I would say the argument is that things were not seen. The argument is that things were not seen. So
that's what I'm saying.
as the story goes, yeah, Ariane didn't see it.
All right, G, hold on one
didn't
second.
see it.
Hold on one second, Zach. Go ahead, finish up your point.
No, I was asking, and then that pretty much answered it. Like Ariane didn't directly see it, so it's just it being relayed to her.
That's the argument. We're trying. Yeah, we're also trying to figure out if that's true or not. We're trying to figure out if indeed in the text we can detect if she did or did not see it.
Yeah, here let me skip to the end of this chapter here. Darkstar. Donk. The end of this chapter is here. And affirmatively, I can say we do not see Marcella being cut, but
the slashing.
This is
the
turnover right
that's
here.
where the story starts.
Let me point it out here. Okay, so where's the last time we see Marcella? Where's her crew? Crown Marcella at Hellholt. You're almost there, Garen told Marcella. Okay, so they're riding. Found a boat, Garen reined. Garen reined to a halt. It was not supposed to end this way. This was not supposed to happen. Ario and his crew step out of the pole boat. There's the last face I'd hoped to see. She knew she had to act. Away, she cried. Ares, protect the princess. Ares thumped. Also must slay. Princess Marcella sat motionless on her mount. All right, I think this is the last time we see Marcella. Back from the pole boat, his hand in his air. Dre unbuckled his sword belt. Okay, so Dre, yeah, all right. So the argument Zach that RIG has been making, well, RIG has been making kind of on Preston's behalf? Question mark.
Listen, I believe this has been out there for a while, but Preston did compile this as part of his little talk about the Deeper Dorn and about Marcella in the Val for Marcella in particular. So, like I said, if you want kind of more of his version of the theory, you should go check out those videos. But I don't think he invented the idea that it's was that Darkstar was innocent but it was potentially it was Dre.
Yeah, I have not heard of this theory. This is interesting. I don't know that I buy it, but pieces of evidence. We as readers over this next like page and a half do not see the cut. Ariane is distracted by the battle between Ares and Ario, and then it cuts directly. Furthermore, we do not see the moment when Ariane is told that it was Darkstar who cuts Marcella.
Yeah.
And
We also, so here's the other thing too. We also have to kind of wonder, I think a little bit on motive, like why would Darkstar try to kill her, and then if Darkstar didn't try to kill her, why would he run away? Well, what was happening that made Darkstar leave?
Well, they were all being captured. I'm not surprised that he bailed. They were all in the process of being taken.
I mean, but no one else bailed. And that's the thing. I say, like,
well,
I think what is the
right? All the others were
someone
all the others were directly like associated with Ariane, right? They were like her crew for years.
Yes, but I agree with that. However, you'll notice that somebody, at least, I'm forgetting who it is, literally is just like, come on, they got us, time to give up. And that's not wholly a wrong sentiment. Ares Oakhart does die because, like, no, you got like, they got you, Now, Darkstar gets away, but, like, it's a big-ass risk. Not that it's not a risk to get caught in the plot, you know what I mean? Like, that's a risk, too. But it is interesting. The question becomes like, why wouldn't he run by himself? Why did he slash her in the face? Why didn't he surrender and hope for mercy? I mean, he like the, it's like there's just questions around it that I think makes it like worthy of being looked at. Especially because, like I said, I don't know that Darkstar has a particularly great motive for slashing her in the face. Like, I don't know what that is. So, have you guys heard a motive for like why Darkstar would do that?
That's the funny thing is like so much is going on and we don't really have a good like motive for anybody there to do that. There really is no reason. It is like the epitome of like senseless violence.
Well, I mean,
see, Tom said this too, and for me, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I feel like if people are doing plotty bullshit that involves, people getting hurt or framed or whatever, Doran is the prime suspect in my mind because like we just know him to be a plotty bullshit kind of guy. But
to what end? Like injuring a child that is under his care, right?
That was actually the thing I brought up too. When I was like kind of providing the counter evidence is like, why would Doran want her hurt? Because Doran does make a big point about being like, you can't blame the children. So like for me, that's a big flaw in the theory where it's like, but then again, Doran is clearly full of shit and does not give a fuck who dies and does not give a fuck about his kids. So it all depends on like, do you believe Doran is truthful, or do you believe
I have
do you believe
arguments against these things?
What arguments?
First off, the motive for Darkstar, he sets up the whole chapter. He sets up 2 chapters in a row as he is like angling for war with Westeros, and like right here it says, I'd set a faster pace unless you mean to kill the child after all. He talks about killing the child. He talks about killing Marcella. He says, if you want a war, don't crown Marcella, kill her.
That is
For,
true. That is true.
Furthermore, I dispute the assertion that Doran doesn't care about his kids. He aches when
Doran definitely does not care about his kids. He sends Ariane off to court.
Hold on here a second. Hold on. When Ariane was like when Ariane confesses to him that she thought that he was trying to get Quentin to take his throne, her seat rather, the anguish that he expresses is palpable. He says, "I'm so like."
Oh, he's a good actor. So he's a good actor. No, I'm just teasing. I'm being a little harsh. I believe Doran believes that he loves his children, and he certainly is a human being that has total emotions and is probably full of way too many emotions and thoughts. He sits in this chair all day. However, his actions and the way he commits his children into what is essentially a fucking meat grinder, to me, it is kind of a tell that whatever he might think about his position and actions, he's not necessarily doing the things that would directly lead to everybody having the best time. Which I think is like, that's true of like a ton of Ice and Fire characters. Like a lot of Ice and Fire characters are like doing the right thing in huge quotation marks, but they're not really getting to what they claim to want because they're not really doing the right thing, like.
I mean, my take on Doran was always that like his plan was brilliant 10 years ago. Like his plan was amazing a while before he actually like did. I put my microphone farther away from my face. I'm sorry if I'm quiet. But
we're talking about tinfoil Doran.
I'm reverse balancing Zach. Hang on 1 second. Zach, say words.
Like my take on Doran as a character is like sending Quentin with the document that may or may not be forged to like establish some like marriage ties that were supposed to be like obliged to Daenerys would have been amazing when she's not a Marine and already getting married and way too late to mean anything, right? Like that's a plan that would have been amazing even just 2 books before. But the like other like thing is like, is like he essentially waited too long. Like he had an opportunity to like really start to build alliances, find common cause with other people who are upset at the result of the of Robert's Rebellion, right? And he had a chance to pick a side in the War of the Five Kings, during which he would have been like crucial. He probably would have helped somebody win or lose, depending on the side he picked. He could have easily like caused a lot of heartache for the Lannisters then. And he did exactly none of those things. So he could go at his own stupid schedule.
All right. Who wants to do some reading for me right now?
You gonna read, Zach? Do you want me to read?
No takers.
You can go for it.
Two YouTubers, two
I'd have to put on my glasses though.
Mics. No takers. Somebody read these 2 lines for me right here.
All right, let me put my glasses. Hang on.
It started at 27 days. I never remember that.
Which lines are you doing?
These 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
Start me up.
All right. Call it what you will. Call it what you will. Crowning the Lannister girl is a hollow gesture. She will never sit the Iron Throne, nor will you get the war you want. The lion is not so easily provoked. The lion's dead. Who knows what the cub the lioness prefers? Or sorry, who knows which cub the lioness prefers? The one in her own den. Sir Gerald drew his sword. It glimmered in the starlight, sharp as lies. This is how you start a war. Not with a crown of gold, but a blade of steel. And then she says, I am no murderer of children. Put that away. Marcella is under my protection. and Sir Ares will permit no harm to come to his precious princess. You know that.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
that-
some pretty damning stuff, I guess, in some senses, for Sir Gerald.
Man, Gerald, you get a recording of that, and it sure does look like you killed the princess. You know.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
certainly does look like you're the person who attempted the murder after you had said, "I want to murder this person," directly to camera
But
too.
the question then becomes, why would Sir Gerald want to start the war, knowing how much risk it would be to himself? You know, like I think what you have here is a little bit. I'm not saying the theory is correct. I'm just saying that I think the argument of this theory would be that what you have here is kind of that quintessential mystery thing where you have the guy that's like, you know, well, the shotgun was found in his truck, and you're like, oh, well, everyone else is saying the shotgun's in his truck, therefore he must be guilty. And then, of course, you as the mystery solver will learn that, you know, that in fact the real killer threw the shotgun in the truck, and the sheriff is actually wrong. And you know, then you got to solve the mystery. And it's like I think it's more of one of those where that's the implication. The implication is that George R. Martin has put some way too obvious evidence in front of us in the hopes that we'll be a little suspicious. And then when we look and realize that no one actually saw what happened, you kind of, you know, do the reading into it more. But I'll agree with you, Tom, that definitely does sound damning for Sir Gerald. Like, it totally does, you know?
Do we talk to Marcella in... Do we have a couple Ariane chapters in Dance, am I remembering that correctly, or is that just later in this book?
I don't know if we ever speak to Marcella. That's one that I'm like, I can't remember, to be honest.
Is Marcella ever on screen after this? As it were?
I don't think so.
Say that he died. Tell Sir Balin the Darkstar tried to kill her, and Sir Ares stepped between them. So, Marcella. I hope that the people watching this are enjoying this riveting content.
Are we streaming or is this being recorded?
This is being recorded. I don't know if we're gonna.
It's
do anything with
recorded,
it.
yeah.
So this makes good Patreon material, honestly.
Okay. No, Ariane said. Say that he died defending his little princess. Tell Sir Balon that Darkstar tried to kill her, and Sir Ares stepped between them and saved his life. That was how the White Knights of the Kingsguard were supposed to die, giving up their own lives for those they were sworn to protect. Sir Balon may be suspicious as you were when the Lannister killed your sister and children, but he will have no proof. Until he speaks with Marcella, or must that brave child suffer a tragic accident as well? If so, it will mean war. No lie will save Dorne from a queen's wrath if her daughter should perish whilst in my care. He needs me, Ariane realized. That's why he sent for me. I could tell Marcella what to say. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say that that there's bits of evidence going both ways there. The first thing I would say is it definitely shows that they're kind of willing to manipulate the situation. So the question becomes who's manipulating who and to what extent. But that she does mention that, you know, Marcella was there, and if you ask her, she's going to have an opinion. So while we're not 100% privy to what that opinion is, we know that she believes a certain set of events to be true. It seems like, or at least Doran is claiming that. So I'm like, yeah, I can see things going both ways, and that's kind of why I enjoy this theory. Is that while there is a lot of evidence that on the surface probably seems very much to point right towards Darkstar, and like that Ariana has been totally incorporated into the plot. You know, I would say there's lots of evidence that it is all a frame up and that Ariana is not wrapped up in the plot and that she's actually, you know, that Ariana Grande is having a bad time here, being tricked by her father, who is not a good dude. He's a bad Doran.
Interesting.
It's a bad man.
Someone told you knew, and yet you still see. This is if you're making this argument, this is your core right here. You knew. Someone told you knew, and yet you still allowed us to make off with Marcella. and he says that was my mistake and has proved a grievous
Whoa,
one. I
whoa,
don't know
whoa!
if
Hang
I
on, hang
buy
on, hang
that,
on one
right?
second. Hang on one second, guys. Hang on one second.
What's up?
What on earth did you just kill, Cat? No, leave it alone. Leave it alone.
So
Leave it
Zach,
alone.
this is the
Bug.
this is
Sure.
kind
In
of
the
the
bucket, bud.
core here.
Sorry, what? What?
Someone told, thinks Ariane, you knew and yet you still allowed us to make off with Marcella. Why? And then Doran replies, that was my mistake and it has proved a grievous one. I don't know if I buy that as an excuse.
Yep. That's correct. That's like that was my mistake. It was previous one. You're my daughter, little girl. He's run. Yep. He's not answering the question.
Yeah,
Yep.
you let me run off with a princess because you didn't think that I had it in me to conspire? Horseshit.
And then he's like, "Whoa! I trust you.
Sorry,
man. Come
I
on."
don't know what it
Yeah.
was. My cat just brought in some kind of huge, ridiculous bug, and so I had to like grab it and throw it in this bucket so I could take it outside
What kind of bug is it?
because it was flapping around and flying and like I have no idea what it was. It had basically like it had huge wings, so it was probably like 5 inches across in the wingspan. And I'd never really seen anything like it. They were giant wings, and the body of the insect itself wasn't all that big.
It might have
but it
been
was
a dragonfly,
really like
but it bit off
long
the
and
tail.
narrow. Yeah, I mean that could have been it. You know, it honestly that actually is not that far from what the head didn't look right for a dragonfly though, so I thought it was something different. But it was definitely still alive, and he had just caught it and brought it inside. So I was like, anyhow, back to the theory. Back to the theory.
Let's see.
So
Yeah, it is. It is. I don't trust that answer from Doran. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like that answer from Doran doesn't sit right by me.
Okay.
No answer from Doran sits right because he's a fucking liar.
Like when he has an immediate answer out the gate, I believe him. But like this is like a telltale like lie, right? This is like he gets
Yeah. So
4
like
sentences
the rule
in
for me
before
with
he gives the
Doran
answer.
is DBL. Doran be lying.
How do I?
So
output
Zach,
this?
I think I agree with you pretty well. This
You already
is
had no thought.
she asks him a direct question, says, why did you let us make off with Marcelo when you knew you had been informed?
If my
You
brain
had
just had
major
just-
political information. I'm getting background noise through someone, so you guys know.
That might be me. That's
It's
probably.
Zach.
Yeah, my roommates are talking behind me. I'm in the gamer room. Matt and Jackson are here too.
You knew and yet you still allowed us to make off with Marcelo. Why? And then he ducks the question. He says,
Yeah, that's a super
that was
hardcore
my-
duck.
Yeah, that was my mistake. It has proved a grievous one. You are my daughter. Of course I trusted you. How could you do this to me? He totally dodges the question.
No, because he's an absolute fucking liar. I have to tell you, DBL, Doran be lying. That's the if Doran is in a scene, then like DBL, Doran be lying.
Darkstar is the plan.
Darkstar could easily be a plant. That's also one of the answers to this theory. One of the broad versions of the theory is that every single person, with the exception of Ariane, is a plant. That all her friends are in on it, and Darkstar. And maybe they don't know the intricacies, but they're all on Doran's payroll, one way or the other. They're all taking his gold and subject to his whim. And so he doesn't need to tell them individually what the objective is. He just tells them what they're going to do when they show up at the spot.
All right. This has given me a lot to think about. I'm calling it from here. We might talk more about this in the future. Maybe we'll make this a whole video.
Yeah, we can check back in on this one. It's an interesting little theory, right?
I have to let that one simmer. There's definitely something going on. I just don't know who's doing what.
Everybody say goodbye.
Like I said,
Goodbye.
goodbye, everybody. DBL, Doran be lying.